The 1980s is described in the history books as a decade of low-level, low-intensity civil war. But if you study the history of the 80s, it was anything but. It was a terrible, desperate time for the country. Now, there's some who argue we are going through a silent civil war. It's caused by a faltering economy. In his latest book, it's called A Manifesto for Social Change, the author and political economist Moeletsi Mbeki, along with Nobantu Mbeki, argues South Africa is ruled by a political and economic elite who are not only in conflict but also terribly suspicious of each other. How much can be seen in internal politics and conflicts within the ruling African National Congress, of course? Moeletsi Mbeki is my guest this evening. It's called A Manifesto for Social Change. It's how to save South Africa. It's not very thick, which either implies you're very succinct or it's not that complicated.
Well, both. It actually implies both. The book is very succinct, easy to read, and the problems are not complicated at all. They are very straightforward.
Explain to me how you see the problems, because for so many South Africans, our problems seem insurmountable. People at the bottom end, at the base of the pyramid, if you like, who just look at their environment and say there is no hope. And people at the top of the pyramid who are going, oh my goodness me, look at the bottom of the pyramid, there is no hope. People are sort of caught in those two traps, I suspect.
Yes, that's we like entrapping ourselves. The reality about South Africa, if you look at, I'm talking about South Africa after 1994, many people think that our economy is not growing and therefore we have this huge, poor, unemployed population at the bottom of the pyramid because the trade unions demand too much salaries, trade unions are too powerful, our labor laws make it difficult to hire and fire. When we investigated this, we actually found the opposite. It's very easy to hire and fire in South Africa, despite the laws. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting with 35% unemployment if it was not that easy to hire and fire. So it is easy to hire and fire. The real problem, which is what we explain in this book, the real problem is the conflict and the suspicion and the mistrust between the two top elites in our country, the elite that controls the state, which we call the political elite, and the elite that controls our businesses, which we call the economic elite. These two elites, there are only 105,000 people in all.
You call the elite anybody who earns over 60,000 rand a month. Okay, which in global terms is not a huge amount of money, but in South African terms is a vast amount of money.
It's a huge amount of money in South African terms.
So there's a big fight between the 105,000 people who control the socio-political environment in South Africa. And now, we've seen in the last 6 months or so, the sacking of the finance minister, Nene, then the big turnaround that happened over a crucial weekend in December last year, where we saw Pravin Gordhan being reappointed. He and Jabu Mabuza got together and they said, let's forge a new kind of compact. It's not quite the Clemsanta economic codesa, but it's like a mini codesa, effectively, to try and iron out this huge divide that you talk to. Is there any hope on that?
No, there is no hope at all.
Why not?
Well, first, I don't want to go into too much detail. The reality, it does not change the structural relationship. You see, the political elite is made up of people with no capital, whether you are Jacob Zuma or the DG or Molefe, Brian Molefe in Eskom.
They salary, but no capital. Yes.
They have no capital. So how do they enrich themselves? At the expense of business, by taxing business and by threatening, by increasing the taxes on business and issuing threats and changing the environment under which business operates. That is at the heart of the conflict. Now, whether Pravin Gordhan and Mabuza are good friends, it will not change that structural situation.
So what then is the manifesto for social change that does give us hope?
You see, what happened in 1994, what most South Africans don't understand, is that the owners of capital who had been partners with the previous government, lost power when the previous government, the National Party government, also lost power. So today the owners of capital have no political power. So they feel very insecure, so they invest as little as possible, and they invest as much as they can outside South Africa.
We've certainly, and that's one of the underpins of our market, is the fact that those foreign earnings have supported share prices. Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to find a formula for the owners of capital to come back into political power. Now, what is different in our proposal is that we are saying they should form a partnership with the underclass, which is 12 million people who are not working, who have no jobs. They should form a partnership with this underclass in order to increase investment, because the underclass are the people who are left out of all the changes that happen in South Africa. They are the ones who want to see economic growth, the economic growth, together with the owners of capital. So we're saying this should form the core of a new political elite in South Africa. Then you will see investment growing.
We see lots of criticism of big companies in South Africa sitting on billions, hundreds of billions of rand on balance sheets. Lazy capital that is waiting to be deployed, either outside of South Africa or inside of South Africa. Big business's argument is, give us some kind of policy certainty, and we can then start deploying this capital. This capital can then be used to create the growth that creates the opportunities, that sees this coming together, and a more of a shared future.
No, nobody gives anything to anyone. Business has to go and get it.
Got to fight for it.
They've got to fight for it. The environment that is favorable for them to invest, they have to fight for that environment. Nobody's going to give it to them. So they have to fight for it. We are saying they have to fight in a partnership, because...
How does that partnership work?
How does the partnership work? Well, they have to figure it out themselves. One of the things that they can do is form their own party. They can form their own party and then fight for political power through the election process. That we have over 200 political parties in this country if you look at the local government election. So one more, they can form another one. And so business community in this country has to get it into its head. Nobody will ever give them anything. Everything that they have to fight for, in the way that you fought for whatever you have, I fought for whatever I have. We had to go and study and compete with other people and compete when we came out of school.
It's a much easier idea just to take your money offshore and invest it over there. What's the incentive?
Well, no, the incentive is that if you are a platinum miner, well...
You put a hole in the ground that's going to be there for 30 years.
Well, there's no platinum in England. You can take it to the London Stock Exchange if you like, but there's no platinum in London. Anyway, we don't know if England will still be together in another 3 or 4 months, let alone years. So you're stuck in South Africa. If you are a platinum miner, you have to mine platinum in South Africa.
Now, okay, then it's a big ask. Is there not an easier way of doing it? Are we just so entrenched in our cliques, in our ideologies, in our behaviors, that actually we can't just simply have a cup of tea and sort it out?
No, there is no easy way of doing it. But let's face it, did we have an easy way of getting rid of apartheid? No. It was a very difficult way. Mandela spent 27 years in prison. So the business community has to realize there is no easy way. Even if they took their money out of South Africa, they'll earn nothing out of it if they put it in Germany or in England or in America.
That's long term. Short term, I need to ask your views on August the 3rd, local government elections. How are the votes falling?
Well, the votes basically are showing us that the big metropolitan areas, the population in this is moving further and further away from voting for the ANC. The rural areas and the small towns remain stronghold of the ANC. So that is essentially so a number of metropolitan, especially Cape Town, of course, which is DA already, Port Elizabeth,
City of Joburg and Tshwane. The Ipsos poll suggesting Tshwane, following the uprisings that we saw recently in protest against the imposition of Toko Didiza as the mayoral candidate in that part of the world. Suddenly the Ipsos poll is showing sort of 34 DA, 33 ANC. The big one is the undecideds. In each of the metropoles, there seem to be like 15% of voters, which are the swing voters. It's a big undecided camp.
Well, I'm not sure that actually they've only got 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks, in which to decide. If they are not decided now, I think they will probably remain undecided and probably won't vote.
How significant is that going to be? Because we run the risk, I suspect, of people who have been loyal ANC supporters all of their lives, and they owe a huge debt of gratitude and life to the ANC, who don't necessarily want to support the current incumbents, but couldn't see themselves voting for an opposition party. So they may stay away.
I think that is becoming the older generation. With the younger people who are now entering the electorate, they don't have those hang-ups that the older generations has. And the ANC realizes this. You saw them yesterday reversing the mismanagement of SABC, which they have been doing for several years. Now they realize that the population is aware of this, and it will work against the ANC in the elections.
Do we see a big swing to the left, to the perceived left, to the EFF? Do we hope that the EFF wins a couple of quite substantial municipalities to prove the governance credentials?
No, I don't think the EFF is a left party. The EFF is very similar and is very influenced, for example, by Latin American parties. So it's not influenced by European or Western parties where you have a right and a left. And they are more like a Latin American party, which is a populist party. That's what the EFF...
Do we see some swing to populism?
Yeah, we're seeing some swing to populism,
significant,
but not very significant. I think what it is showing is at best the EFF will get about 11% in Tshwane. But that's not a very big number.
Do we need the EFF to win a big municipality? Just one?
I don't think it would make any difference. They have no realistic policies that they can implement.
But perhaps that is the point, to test the governance abilities of the EFF in a local government election.
Well, you know where the EFF got its red beret from? It got it from Chavez in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Venezuela is a complete mess. It's a collapsed economy as we are talking.
It's a conspiracy. It's a Western conspiracy. Didn't you know that? The author, the political economist Moeletsi Mbeki, the book is The Manifesto for Social Change, How to Save South Africa, written with Nobantu Mbeki as well. Thank you so much for watching. More ideas to tackle the future and more perspectives on it. It's going to be a tough read, but it's a read that needs to be had by everybody, Mr. President, sir, you included. Thank you for watching. Good night.